It's May 12th, 2019. We're at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. There is 4.2 seconds left in Game 7 of the 2019 Eastern Conference SemiFinals between the hometown Raptors and the Philadelphia 76ers. Tied at 90, with Toronto inbounding the ball, this next possession could end the series. You may very well know what comes next, but to appreciate this moment, you need to know how we got here, right? So let's rewind. In these closing seconds, the Raptors have a chance to advance to their second ever Eastern Conference Finals in franchise history. And if you look around on the court, you will see a few new faces that helped them get to this point. From 2015 through 2018, the Raptors were a legitimate threat to represent the Eastern Conference each year. They made their first ever conference finals during the 2016 postseason, then went to the semifinals in back-to-back years. The only problem was, they couldn't advance because of this guy. LeBron James owned the Raptors. So much so that the Toronto Star, the city's largest publication, dubbed the city as LeBronto. In 2018, when the Raptors captured the #1 seed in the East, James ripped the heart out of the franchise with this unreal buzzer beater that put the Cavs up 3-0 in the semifinals. Just look at the disgust on the face of the Raptors. They knew they couldn't escape him. Fortunately for the Raptors, they didn't have to worry about James controlling the East the next season. But the Raptors had a new look as well. They fired their head coach, Dwayne Casey, and promoted assistant coach Nick Nurse. GM Masai Ujiri also made a heartbreaking trade, sending DeMar DeRozan, the lifelong Raptor, to the San Antonio Spurs for former Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard. More on him later, I promise. All the changes immediately paid off. The Raptors got off to their hottest start in franchise history. With Leonard as their leader, the Raptors absolutely steamrolled teams. And Ujiri wasn't done making moves. The savvy GM acquired veteran big man Marc Gasol before the trade deadline, adding another piece to an already strong roster. They finished with the second best record in the NBA and cruised into the playoffs, advancing to the semifinals for a battle with the Sixers. Toronto needed to grind against Philly. Each team snatched a win on the road, setting up Game 7 in Toronto. Both teams went shot for shot the whole game, but with under 2 minutes left, Kyle Lowry came up with a pivotal steal that inched the Raptors closer to the conference finals. He caught Philly sleeping on a bad pass, which led to a layup on the other end and extended the Raptors' lead to 4, with 1:14 left to play. But if you check the scoreboard now, we're tied at 90 with just a little over 4 seconds left. The Sixers haven't made the conference finals in nearly 2 decades, but thanks to these two dudes and trust in the process, it's right in arm's reach if they get a stop. The 76ers are a historic championship-winning franchise that has produced several Hall of Fame players. But in this decade, Philly ain't been winning much. Granted, the team is only good now because they were down horrendously for numerous years. In 2013, new GM Sam Hinkie was in charge of a massive rebuild. Hinkie's plan was simple: trust the process. The 76ers sacrificed the present and focused on the future, consistently being one of the worst teams in the league, stockpiling draft picks and trading valuable players for later assets. Hinkie's plan received some harsh criticism from both the media and executives around the NBA. The Sixers were losing so much that it sparked a league vote on whether the draft lottery should be reformed altogether. It's not that the players were purposely losing, it's that Hinkie orchestrated a roster that made sure they couldn't win. Unfortunately, Hinkie didn't get a chance to see the foundation he laid play out when he resigned in 2016, but his long-term plan eventually came to fruition. The Sixers didn't hit on all those draft picks, but stuck the landing on their 2014 and 16 picks, drafting Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons respectively. The 76ers took a gamble on Embiid, who was injured entering the draft but had immense potential. Philly knew the likelihood that Embiid wouldn't play much his rookie year, they just didn't expect that to turn into 2 full seasons. For 2 straight years, the Sixers got nothing in return out of their lottery pick. With Embiid stashed on the bench, Philly had yet another terrible season, but it helped accelerate the process. The Sixers landed the #1 overall draft pick in the 2016 draft and selected Ben Simmons. Simmons was the consensus #1 pick, but before he got to prove his worth, he rolled his ankle during training camp and was later ruled out the entire season. Although, all hope wasn't lost. While Simmons had to sit, Embiid was finally cleared to play, and he was well worth the wait. Embiid had a rare skill set, showing his ability to shoot and pass like a guard, all while having filthy post moves. All Embiid needed was support, and when Simmons was ready to suit up the next season, it was a wrap. Simmons was a unique playmaker, standing at 6'10" with superb court vision and the ability to sauce up opposing defenders with ease. He absolutely balled, winning Rookie of the Year, and being paired with Embiid, the Sixers quickly went from rebuilding to immediate contenders. The process had finally paid off. Throughout all the losing and all the injuries, Philadelphia ended up with 2 franchise-altering players. Now with a full year of experience playing together, they looked even deadlier in the 2018-19 season. Deadly enough that current Sixers GM Elton Brand believed they were a piece away from a title. Brand didn't wait for free agency and struck a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves, trading for all-star guard Jimmy Butler. Halfway through the season, Philly traded for Tobias Harris as well, adding another scoring threat to their roster. Both Butler and Harris were in the last year of their contracts, proving Philly had gone from trusting the process to win now. Building that type of roster of course comes with high expectations, but they had to figure it out on the fly. They simply had too much firepower and earned the 3rd spot in the East. And in these playoffs, it was Butler and Embiid who led Philadelphia's newfound Big Four, especially late in this must-win game against Toronto. Butler, who rolled his ankle previously in the game, didn't show signs of pain as he leaped and grabbed a turnover, which turned into a JJ Redick 3-point play, tying the game at 85. With both teams struggling to make a basket, Butler and Embiid forced their will in the paint to draw fouls and hit free throws to keep their team alive. But the most crucial play for Philly transpired thanks to the Raptors being at the free throw line. With 10.8 seconds left, Toronto had a chance to extend their lead to 3 with Kawhi Leonard at the line. Leonard missed his second free throw attempt, and off the rebound, Butler took the ball the length of the court, hitting a tough contested layup to tie the game at 90. So with 4.2 seconds left, this sold-out Toronto crowd is on their feet ready to explode at any moment. But the love for this team and basketball in this city hasn't always been this passionate. Professional basketball got its start right here in Toronto. In 1946, the Toronto Huskies hosted the New York Knickerbockers. It was the inaugural game for the Basketball Association of America, which later rebranded to the National Basketball Association. Canadian interest in basketball wasn't very high. The Huskies ran gimmicky promotions offering free admission to anyone taller than the team's tallest player. The Huskies lost that game, and the team folded after 1 season. It took almost 50 years for basketball to return to Toronto. In 1995, the Raptors debuted, and excitement surrounding hoops hadn't really changed. That was partly due to the team being awful their first 3 seasons. They were a fun young team with some dope-ass jerseys, but sadly style doesn't generate wins. What can get you wins is being able to draft someone like Vince Carter. Carter was a transcendent player and helped establish Toronto as a legit basketball city by winning. The fans desperately needed a superstar like Carter to rally behind, but every Batman needs a Robin, and Carter had his own cousin be that Robin. Tracy McGrady was an explosive player, a future MVP candidate, and the perfect complement to Carter's game. But Toronto couldn't keep T-Mac happy, so he left, which led to Carter's continued unhappiness, so he wanted out. After Carter, Toronto continued to embrace basketball behind a new, much lankier star, Chris Bosh. Carter at least had his cousin by his side for a bit, but Bosh never got a co-star, so he dipped from Miami in 2010. The Raptors finally got it right when they formed the dynamic backcourt of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. Not only was the duo flat out balling, being the first teammates in franchise history to make multiple All-Star games, but they genuinely loved each other. They had the strongest bromance in the league, so at least they were probably able to console each other when LeBron stopped their run each year. Nonetheless, in those losing years to Bron, the city as a whole took on the franchise's new slogan, "We the North," acting as disruptors and ready to shake up the NBA from the outside. The team's popularity skyrocketed, even enlisting one of their more famous citizens into a made-up position. Basketball actually became an integral part of the city, and Toronto took a long journey to become one of the best fan bases in the entire league. Tied at 90, that journey could all be worth it thanks to one guy, Kawhi Leonard. Toronto has a new star to love, a new star that's been balling, but getting him here came with some risk. Since being drafted in 2011, Kawhi Leonard has constantly been racking up accolades, all while making a solid case for being one of the NBA's best players. With the Spurs, Leonard was cementing his place as the heir to Tim Duncan's throne, as the next in line of San Antonio legends. But things got a little weird in the 2017-18 season. Leonard missed a ton of games due to a nagging right quad injury and didn't make his debut until December. He only suited up for a total of 9 games before being ruled out indefinitely to rehab. The exact timetable for his return caused a bit of friction between Leonard and the Spurs organization. At first, team doctors decided the protocols for Leonard to follow, but then Leonard's camp, including his agent and his uncle, Dennis Robertson, pressed the team to consult outside opinions. There was no clear direction from either side, whether it was head coach Greg Popovich saying it was very unlikely that Leonard would return during the season, or Leonard saying that he indeed planned on returning. Things just felt off. It also didn't help when teammates stirred the pot. Tony Parker, who recovered from a similar quad injury in less time, said his injury was 100 times worse. Leonard took that as a diss, and now an already touchy topic escalated even further. The team reportedly held a players-only meeting asking Leonard to return, which was described as tense and emotional, but the damage had already been done, and Leonard requested a trade. Kawhi was an elite player in the last year of his contract, and whoever traded for him would have to convince him to resign or use him as a costly rental. Plus, the fact that he hadn't played basketball in almost a year made a potential trade even riskier. The Lakers were reportedly Leonard's preferred destination, with teams like the 76ers making a very strong run at him. But in the end, it was Ujiri and the Raptors who traded their beloved star, splitting him up from his BFF that made the Raptors so successful, for a dude with an expiring contract who never expressed any interest in Toronto. I mean, just listen to how happy the guy is to be here. The Raptors were banking on the idea that he would fall in love with their culture. It was a huge gamble, basically having one shot to win a title, and if they didn't, Leonard could walk for nothing in return. Toronto had never landed a player of Leonard's caliber through a trade, and now they had a season to get busy. Leonard sat some games throughout the season, continuing to rest his quad, but when he was on the floor, he looked better than ever. Leonard fully showcased his offensive skills, dropping buckets on teams left and right, and was still the lockdown defender that opposing teams had feared. He didn't show any drop-off, and had this Raptor squad reaching new heights. In these playoffs, Leonard completely took over games. The 76ers didn't have an answer for him defensively this series as they watched him hit shot after shot. His biggest shot of the series was a Game 4 go-ahead dagger over the outstretched arms of Embiid to prevent the Raps from falling behind 3-1 on the road. Leonard has been here before and was ready to carry the team by any means necessary. And in this closeout game, Toronto needed every basket from him. Whether it was driving to the rim, easy, mid-range jumper, cash, spot up 3, forget about it. Leonard was locked in and headed into the fourth with 26 points. They say pressure builds diamonds, and in crunch time, Leonard was for sure shining. He was a walking bucket late in the game and could hardly miss. After being down 78-77 with 6:13 left to go in the fourth, Leonard scored 8 straight points to retake the lead and put Toronto up by 5. Then after Philly held the Raptors scoreless for a little over 3 minutes, tying the game at 85, Leonard hit a deep jumper in Embiid's face to regain the lead once again with 1:41 left to play. When Toronto needed a basket, Leonard was there every time. Well, I guess every time besides that missed free throw that helped Philly to tie the game. So here we are. With 4.2 seconds left, Toronto's loyal fan base is on the edge of hysteria. If the Sixers get a stop here, the famed franchise will have a chance at righting those painful years thanks to betting on the long term. But the ball is in the hands of Toronto's new star, a guy that didn't start with this organization, but a star on the path of redemption, eager to bring a title to this hungry city. One shot can change everything. Welcome to a moment in history.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
Yo, thanks for watching. The Raptors won that game, of course, and went on to win their first ever NBA championship, where Kawhi only stayed for one season. But unlike Kawhi, we aren't going anywhere, and have plenty more videos for y'all to check out.